Hi everyone, I'm your host Neha and you're tuned into Durian Dreaming, the show that brings you extraordinary stories from seemingly ordinary experiences in Indonesia's fast-paced market. Let's dive into today's conversation with another inspiring guest. Hi everyone. Today we are thrilled to have Rajesh Sethuraman, CEO of Godrej Consumer Products. With 25 plus years of experience in FMCG across Southeast Asia, Africa, and now Indonesia, Rajesh knows how to build brands, lead teams, and navigate this complex market. Well, we'll talk about his journey, insights on Indonesia, and secrets to thriving here. So grab your coffee and let's dive in. Hi, Rajesh. Welcome to Durian Dreaming. We are very excited to have you with us.
Thank you, Neha, and very excited to be here as well. I'm by no stretch of imagination an expert on Indonesia, just little under 3 years. So I'm also learning as every day goes along. But it's been quite enjoyable ride for me so far. Yeah, I would say.
Great. So good to hear that, Rajesh. So, Rajesh, before we dive into how has these past 3 years been and how's business shaped you as a leader and also the challenges you've faced on a personal front, what inspired you to take on this role of leading Godrej here?
So, to be honest, this is my first full CEO job,
Mhm.
which I got as an opportunity. And I was in Unilever when this came by my side. As you know, Godrej also had a change in leadership about 4 years ago.
Mhm.
They had the previous CEO had moved on, and then the family was running it directly by themselves. Nisa was herself hands-on as the CEO for some time, and then she chose to recruit Sudhir, who was my boss and was also an ex-Lever person, to come on as
Okay.
the CEO. And
Hmm.
1 year down the line, he reached out one day and said, "There's potentially an opportunity. Would you be interested?" And stepping off Unilever into a exciting new opportunity, I would say Unilever has taught me a lot, but Godrej has given me the ability to execute everything I learned in the last three
Okay.
years. So that's the fun of joining here. It's still a small organization in the context of large multinationals, but
Hmm.
gives immense opportunity to do what you want, do it in the right way, drive agility and performance. So, I mean, that's why it excited me. And here I am for the last 3 years, thoroughly enjoying it.
So, Indonesia was like your first stint because of Godrej, and you moved from India. Correct.
Indonesia is my first stint. I moved
Okay.
from India. The
Yeah.
only other place I've lived and worked actually is in South Africa, Durban.
Mm.
That was when I was in Unilever and I was heading the home care division for Unilever in Africa.
So, Rajesh, can you recall a moment which was like welcome to Indonesia moment where you felt, oh, I've landed? And which kind of highlights the cultural differences between, say, working here in Indonesia versus working in India?
Well, early on, there was when I was just settling in one of the various conversations we've been having inside the teams. Uh, One of the early things which strike you is the politeness and the humbleness with which everybody treats you.
Okay.
We come from a country where, for valid reason, somebody great has written a book called Argumentative Indian. So, coming from a culture where we've all debated and argued every point
Yeah.
wholeheartedly, to a culture which embraces whatever you say and
Mm.
probably does it in a very polite manner and a smiling manner. I think that
Yeah.
was my first aha moment. Oh, this is a very different culture, and this is how people are here, and that struck me very early on when I moved here.
Right. And looking back, what's one thing that you thought that you would have been more prepared for Indonesia? You wish people had told you about Indonesia before moving here. So it could be on a personal front or a professional front.
No, I think I would call it on the personal front. When I was
Mm.
moving, we have two very young kids. So when I was moving, my elder one was just 2 years and the younger one was 6 months old.
Hmm.
And while optically from outside, everybody says the country with great amount of support and you can get nanny support and all of that. It
Hmm.
took us a good 6 to 9 months to fully settle in, satisfied, and not
Wow.
get stressed out with the support we get. And until you're at peace at home, you can't do peaceful work in the office. And that uh, was the only thing which I would say I
Hmm.
couldn't be. There couldn't have been better ways to make myself prepared. But I thought I did everything, and I still
Hmm.
came underprepared when I landed here. It took us a very long time to settle, but that was the only thing which was a disrailer of sorts for me.
Yeah, frankly, I can relate to that. And it does take a while to settle in, even though they say that Indonesia, you get a lot of support staff and a lot of help,
Yeah,
but it takes a while to find the right one, which
exactly.
works well.
And
Yeah,
I don't know, in the first 6, 9 months, we would have changed between the maids and the cook and the nannies. We would have had some 13, 14 people come and go. So it
yeah,
was a horrifying start, I would say, from a
yeah.
personal stunt.
No, I had the same. And at one point, I had stopped asking their names. I said, they're here for a few hours. I don't even know whether they're coming back tomorrow or not.
Exactly. So that was the only thing which was a bit of a shocker for me.
All right. So, Rajesh, Godrej is an Indian company with, of course, its global presence. So, how does its Indian heritage influence the way it operates and connects with the Indonesian consumers? Because they might be in the same region, but the two countries are very diverse.
See, in the line of business we are in, which is consumer products, actually the brands connect with the consumers.
Mm-hmm.
The organizations may or may not, and they don't necessarily have uh, the history to connect easily. So in India, it's a 120 plus year old organization with deep history. They've been through the journey of independence and the many things they've done as a family unit and as a business. So the equity that gets built over that period of time can never get transplanted into a new country. I think the business here is a 15-year-old business, it's an acquired business.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we connect as Godrej in the country is through the value system of our brands. What we
Okay.
offer as our brands, what we do to serve the consumer needs, how we build authenticity and trust with consumers through our brands is the way we live our purpose in this country. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say that there is a marked difference between what Godrej stands for in India versus Indonesia. But
Mm-hmm.
there probably is not a marked difference between how Hit and Goodnight is looked in India as compared to Indonesia. So they are in same very similar stature. We run the same quality of advertising. R&D support is similar. The quality of brands are similar. So the brands is what the consumers engage with, and they are very similar. Probably the
Right.
corporate journey for Indonesia needs to be built. The corporate branding for Indonesia needs to be built, and that journey is still going on.
Okay. Rajesh, you mentioned that Godrej has been here for the last 15 years and it's an
Yeah,
acquired business. So the connect of brands with the consumers is there.
yeah,
And you also mentioned that how people perceive a product, say Goodnight in India, probably it stands for the same benefits and same equity even in Indonesia, right?
yeah.
But as a leader, how do you build trust and establish relationships with, say, local partners or regulators?
I think it goes back to the guiding values of the organization. And what you can live and live every day is the value system. So we
Okay.
have well articulated value system within Godrej. For instance, we need to be trusting others. We need to be very respectful to the others. We need
Hmm.
to play by the rules of the country. There are certain value systems which are well articulated. And for that value
Hmm.
system is universal. So wherever you go, in whichever country or culture you operate, you're
Hmm.
bound to operate within those frameworks.
Right. And what lessons can any foreign companies can learn to avoid common missteps here?
See, every country offers its own learnings. I would say in Indonesia, as you see in most parts of the world, consumers are very discerning. They can sense what is good quality. They can sense what is good value. So you can't be priced and valued in a manner where the consumers don't resonate to your proposition.
Hmm.
This is a country where the right quality at right price matters, and getting that set equation of right quality at right price at the profitability ambitions you have, how do you, that always becomes the challenge. So how do you
Hmm.
set an entire ecosystem of work in your company so that the
Hmm.
consumer sees the best of quality and price, and
Hmm.
we can squeeze out unwanted costs in our system so that our profitability ambitions are also derived at.
Yeah. But Indonesia is incredibly diverse. I mean, culture, language, preferences.
Yeah.
So, how do you create the right
product at the right price point, at the right strategies, of course, which gives high resonance across such a varied consumer base?
Let me take a case of Hit, which
Okay.
is our largest brand. It's our home insecticides brand. Indonesia is one of the more highly infested countries in the world in terms of mosquitoes.
Mm,
Now we have different formats. The market is 45 to 50% residing on coils.
mm,
We have built a business between us and competition. A large part of our business sits on aerosols, the aerosol cans.
mhm,
But one of the real triggers of transition is when a young family with a new child in the household comes in, that
mm,
becomes a point of reevaluation for many things in the household, including the choice of home insecticides. So for the not so affluent consumers,
mhm,
coils are always a painful thing because of the smoke, and the consequence of smoke is a worry in the house. But
mm,
sometimes there is no alternate choice. And we weren't the first in the market to do a liquid vaporizer. The competition was already here, so were we. But we started taking an active interest in developing the category. So we
okay.
invested in a high quality product, priced it right in a manner where consumers see it as value to upgrade from coils. We then
Mm,
started distributing across the country with a very focused effort of driving reach and availability across the country. uh, did a huge amount of category development sampling across the country, and we continue to invest on that and built the consistency for the last almost 2.5 years. We've been running the same advertising without changing it, so that the mental mind measures also build up consistently. And through this consistent way of execution, we've now scaled up the business 3x the size of what it was in 2022.
mm,
So that speaks to a new audience from our existing business, which wasn't
mm,
having aerosol. So you need to
mm.
find an audience who have a problem, probably an unmet problem, and tailor your solutions which can answer to their requirements.
So, when you land in Indonesia, there are few words that you quickly pick up, like they're popular words. One of them is koneksi or say connection. So, do you have any examples of how connections have played a pivotal role in your journey here?
Absolutely. I think the most important thing which I've learned as a business leader is you can't get business till there is a basic level of engagement and relationship built
Hmm.
with your customers, with your clients, and connections. I mean, comes up in different forms. For instance, when we have a need to extend into a new geography with the distributor,
Mm-hmm.
normally we find that our distributors who have good relationship with us would end up giving references through a connection of theirs
Yeah.
to saying, yeah, this distributor is good, and you know what, they will tell the distributor, no, this company is good, you can go and work with them.
Hmm.
That is the most common place I find the connections come through. It also works in many forms. I mean, I have often found it easy to break ice over a meal with a person, in a senior person, if he or she is a client, rather than trying to just formally get a 9 a.m. meeting for a 45-minute
Hmm.
presentation.
Hmm.
So there is a value system in the country which values relationship, and I
Hmm.
think learning to respect that and play within that uh,
Hmm.
takes a little more time, probably from a usual way of doing stuff, but it then tends to pay back. So it's okay in the long run.
Okay. So connections one part, but there's a pace at which Indonesia operates, or
Yep.
let's say tempo of business. How is it compared to other markets you've worked in?
Pace is a very subjective term. I
Hmm.
come from South Africa, but
Okay.
probably I would find it slightly slower than Indonesia.
Oh,
But if you
really?
lived, yeah, so if you lived in India and you come to Indonesia, you say, oh my God, India is always running. Everybody's running. Why are we not running? Is the feeling. Um so it's a contextual conversation. I
Okay.
would say that here people are at peace with life. People are satisfied. There's a balance. There's a satisfaction about the balance.
Hmm.
And this is a country of abundance. It gives so much to so many people.
Yeah.
The urgency to run in the sense of scarcity doesn't exist. And as a consequence, people are easily going through the motions in their own mind, easily going through the motion. So pace is not so much of a worry for me. I think the issue is getting to the end position, and hopefully we are moving in that direction. Is that the question? That's the bigger question for me. Sometimes we mistake running fast to reaching first. Sometimes running fast, you can go down the wrong lane and reach the wrong place. So I would rather take this pace, but be sure that I'm going to reach a destination rather
Yeah.
than take a faster route and probably not reach anywhere at all of value.
So I think moving from South Africa kind of helped you where you didn't have to readjust to its pace. Can you share an example where Godrej adapted its global strategies and products to suit the Indonesian consumers?
Oh, we have just had a recent example where our air freshener brand is called Stella.
Okay.
Uh, and I mean, we do a lot of work with the global teams and product strategy and innovation, etc. But one of the big drivers of choice in this country is floral fragrance. And
Hmm.
jasmine particularly has a very deeply penetrated sense. I mean, you find jasmine tea, you find so many versions of jasmine in this country and highly appreciated.
Hmm.
Uh, we just launched the month of August or September, a
Okay.
full range of Balinese jasmine fragrance across the different
Okay.
formats we have of Stella. And
Hmm.
I think by end of this year, it will be the single largest variant we have
Oh,
uh,
wow.
in from a floral expression point of view. So yeah, that's one example I can give you right off the cuff.
Yeah. And I can add, the packaging is very exciting because it comes in different colors.
Yeah,
So, when you're looking at the shelf, there are other brands also, but your yellow, your jasmine purple will kind
yeah,
of stand out.
yeah.
And when I'm going with my girls, they're of course not reading anything. They are attracted to
Yeah,
the colors.
absolutely.
So that helps. Okay. And what does effective leadership looks like in Indonesia, especially in the context of an Indian multinational? I mean, how does it differ from other markets?
I don't think there is too much of a difference. To be honest,
Hmm.
the best tenets of leadership, I mean, you would have heard of this term called servant leadership.
Hmm.
The best tenets of leadership comes from humility,
Hmm.
an ability to learn from anybody in the team. But also, I mean, if I were to take my own example, I would say that being relentless on what you expect as outcomes. Keep the standards high. Let the standards be known to be high,
Hmm.
but be humble enough to work with the teams to make them work cross through the difficult part and come to the destination.
Hmm.
Be honest enough to say that you must be as much as part of the team as you're the leader, and not just
Hmm.
delegate everything down. Be authentic, be open. I mean, that's worked for me so far. So that would be my few tips.
So, have you ever had to adapt your leadership style to align with the cultural nuances?
I think the benefit I got is I've had a prior exposure in South Africa, and
Okay.
I mean, or Africa per se. One of the things most Indians have
Hmm.
as a natural bias is we all think we are mathematical geniuses and we are great at mental maths, and the fourth decimal point we will be debating in our heads and with our colleagues. Oh, this is 22.7, and so no, it's actually 20.65.
Yeah.
Those kind of conversations tend to overwhelm people because maybe they are not gifted the same way Indian minds have been built on numeracy.
Hmm.
Rather than not looking it at a weakness and looking it as I mean, one tends to judge saying, oh, they are not so good. And I don't think that's the right way to look at it. I mean, they come with different skill sets and different ability to do and see things.
Hmm.
So how do you complement your strengths to their strengths? How do you ensure your weaknesses get covered by them? As long as that is there, it's good. So one of my probable weaknesses is or rather, I wouldn't say weakness. I would say one of the things I have to adapt is not judge people on being numerically not as fast as I am,
Hmm.
but understand more in details on what they actually are feeling, because our business is about feeling, and consumers need to tell us what they feel, and sometimes you don't pick up the sense You have to be with your team member to really get a sense of what is being told and what is actually being meant. And those are the things where you have to work hand in hand with your colleagues and get things moving. So I would say that is how I've adapted.
And how do you see the Indonesian consumers evolving in the next, say, 5 to 10 years? I mean, particularly in terms of their buying behavior.
See, the Indonesian consumers are quite savvy. They're digitally savvy. They're one of the most digitally advanced markets. TikTok's second largest market outside of
Yeah.
China. So they're quite savvy. They're quite good at social commerce. They're quite good at many things at a different pace to what you see. Uh, so I don't think the consumers are not smart. The consumers are super smart. They can sniff out value, as I said. They can figure out what brand or what choices are the best price for value. And more often than not, brands and companies tend to not get that combination right and end up having to go misstep the consumer requirements completely. I think so. I think they will continue to be hard-nosed. They'll continue to be demanding on quality. The choices are many here. So how do you keep pace with their requirements? How do you keep pace with that requirement and not give up your margin profile so that you have a program which ensures that you tackle your costs and the war on waste inside so that you don't compromise on the quality and expectations on the outside? That's the fine balance one needs to keep pushing every day.
Right. You know, Indonesia is also known for a booming startup ecosystem.
Yeah.
How do you see innovation influencing Indonesia's consumer goods industry?
Oh, massively. If you look at, I mean, one of the recent successes in Indonesia has been this brand called Skintific. Skintific is I think a Chinese origin startup funded brand with a huge plethora of different personal care needs, different skincare needs, and doing very well in the market. And I think the learning from there is as long as these new innovations and new niches are exploring unmet needs and they offer solutions in a very different manner, they'll keep repositioning existing solutions. And so you just need to be paranoid that you don't get outpositioned by somebody who's coming upstart and new, and keep looking out for that and ensure your innovation pipeline addresses that. And never be happy with what you did 2 years ago, but be a little paranoid about what could disrupt you again next year and the year. And this is one of the countries where by virtue of trading agreements between countries, the access of goods from other Southeast Asian countries, the access of goods from Korea, from China are very high. So if you just let your guard down, you could just get disrupted massively in any of your categories. So one has to be constantly looking out for them.
That's such a valuable point. And speaking of challenges, what's been your toughest moment as CEO of Godrej Indonesia? I mean, have you ever faced a lost in translation experience that kind of taught you something about working here?
I would just say that the general ecosystem, you assume everything to be fair and square and above the board. And sometimes you get a nasty surprise once in a while. And you have to probably play to ensure that you don't get disrupted by those things. So I think there are cases where we felt that there's something unfair being done in with us in terms of business practice, and we had to take a strict action against that. Be it our own people, sometimes be it somebody in supply ecosystem. So once in a while, things like these do pop up. So that is the only, I would say, in a very broad sense, something which I have in hindsight said, oh, I should have known it and done it a bit better. But nothing beyond that is majorly shaking the foundations as yet.
All right. Rajesh, one last question. Based on Godrej's journey, what advice would you give to other Indian companies looking to establish or expand their presence in Indonesia?
So I would say that, look, one of the reasons we are doing what we are doing is we are in a space where, I mean, the regulations differ across industry types, but ours is a fairly even play regulation setup. We don't have biases against being an Indian organization in that sense.
Mm.
Uh, More importantly, our manufacturing is local.
Mm.
That gives us a huge amount of agility to do what is right in the market. Our sales, our entire go-to market is local, so we run a fairly self-contained and independent system here,
Okay.
which gives us a good handle on end-to-end solutioning.
Mm.
And by virtue of that, our ability to respond to different consumer needs and different requirements are probably helping us stay where we are. I think that is something most people who are serious about this country should think about. And how can they become more self-reliant in the country?
All right. Thank you, Rajesh, for a very, very insightful, engaging conversation. It was as authentic as I was expecting it to be. So thanks once again for taking out the time and to be with us here.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you very much, and wishing you very best with this journey on what you've started.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Durian Dreaming. I hope today's discussion sparked some new ideas for you. Don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts, and stay tuned for more exciting stories. Until next time, keep dreaming big.